Hey, deserving listeners, it's time for the 11th installment in which I react to the 90 Day Fiancé show. I am a couples therapist. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor, and I've been a therapist and a professor for over 20 years here in Seattle. And I am going to react to the Darcey storyline. This is the 11th time I've been doing this, so if you're just tuning in, you might want to go back and watch all the other ones. Let's see what happens.
I just arrived in New York, and today I'm finally breaking up with Darcey.
Could Jesse have broken up with her without the cameras around, or are they under contract to do everything in front of the cameras?
There was something Darcey got caught up in that really confirmed my worst fear about her.
So I don't know what he discovered, but I imagine that how this is going to play out, if the past is any indication of what's going to happen in this situation, is that he is going to put her down. He's going to make her feel very bad about herself. He's going to be very sure of his criticism or evaluation of her. And this is going to be very hard to watch, is what I'm thinking.
When I was in Amsterdam, I made a discovery about Darcey, something horrible. I knew for sure this is something I do not want to be involved anymore.
You gotta wonder, what is this horrible thing? And they keep making me watch more and more of this show to find out. I'm on the edge of my seat. What did he find out about her? I'm just trying to imagine what it could have been. That she was dating someone else? That she, I don't know, what could it have possibly, that she committed some kind of crime in the past that is upsetting, that she said something on social media that really bothered him, she was in porn in the past, that she has another child that he doesn't know about. I don't know, I mean, none of these things are necessarily slam dunk reasons for breaking up with someone, but I don't know, it's like, what did he discover?
Thank you.
Shall we do that? All right, let's get it. Okay, don't cry. Oh, sweetie.
So I know a lot of you probably hate this Jesse fella, but I believe in human beings, and I think that he does have a heart. I think he has a hard time accessing that, and I think he has a lot of defenses that get in the way of him treating other people in a respectful, nice, loving way. And in this moment, I would like to believe, and I see that, and I think that there's some evidence, at the very least, my experience with humans and people with this sort of personality points in this direction, that he genuinely does care about her and does feel bad about the impending doom that's going to happen. He probably isn't looking forward to hurting her feelings. Having said that, there's probably another part of him, listen to my previous episodes, that he wants to recreate and interject of making other people feel like crap, but that is largely subconscious. That is a necessary part of our defensive structure due to mistreatment that he likely experienced in the past. Obviously, I have no idea. By the way, as I always say, I can't diagnose from afar. This is a reality TV show. Who knows what we're being, presented to us, and so I just want to have that disclaimer. The reason why I do these videos is because I want you, as lay people and as therapists, to learn from me as a professor how to understand personality, how to understand behavior, how to understand relationships, how to understand attachment, so that you as therapists can help your clients and you as lay people can have more awareness about your needs and get your needs met. So that's why I do these kinds of things, not to diagnose people and label and judge people. That has no appeal to me.
Actually, I wanted to talk about our relationship.
That's what I'm here for. I don't want any drama. Don't want any turmoil.
Of course.
We obviously have a lot of issues we need to work on, but I just...
Darcey, you need to take ownership and responsibility for what you're going through right now. You need help.
And there we are, right back to where we started, where the superior is telling the quote-unquote inferior that she is inferior and it's all her fault. You need to take responsibility. I've seen this in my office before when I'm a therapist and I'm sitting in my therapist chair, which coincidentally is this chair. I see my clients like right behind the camera. There's a big office behind me. It's right over there. And I actually just drag this chair over there and talk to my clients. When I'm in the therapist zone over there in this very chair, I don't react like this to my clients. I'm professional, and I'm also in a zone of compassion and listening and differentiation. When I'm sitting here relaxing, you know, I'll have a visceral sort of citizen reaction, a non-therapist reaction in the moment. I could go into detail about the distinction there and whether or not there is. But anyway, the point is that it's just really disappointing to see what I was worried that was going to happen. He said, and I believe him, that he came all the way out to New York to have an ethical, non-drama breakup in which he was respectful and cared about her, and then they very quickly just go boom. I mean, it's just instant. And they're right back where she is escalating, which is understandable. She is picking up a vibe, and she's starting to get afraid, and she's getting hurt, like, oh crap, is he here to break up with me? Totally normal for her to have some of those emotions. She didn't do anything. But listen to my previous episodes on this. In a way, that can be triggering to someone who has narcissistic or avoidant attachment style. Often people who have avoidant attachment style, people on the narcissistic spectrum, have tremendous shame on the inside. They feel tremendous guilt and shame for being a bad person or wronging other people, and due to early childhood ongoing experiences. Now, they won't admit that, and they will cover that up with a veil of narcissism and avoidance and pathological independence of like, I don't need other people, I'm fine, and other people, you know, they need to take responsibility for their behaviors, that kind of thing. But when the Darcys of the world they exhibit emotionality and hurt because of what the avoidant person did, all of that shame around being not good enough and being hurtful and being negligent of other people's feelings, because that can be traumatic. When you accidentally neglect someone's feelings because of a personality trait that you developed because of your past, and people are hurt, and then they accuse you of like, you're hurtful, that's scary to you, and that's hurtful to you, and it's shaming. It's just like, wow, did I just hurt that person's feelings? Well, when you have the veil of narcissism that's covering up just a sea of shame and a sea of worthlessness, then you have to defend against that. It's like, oh, she's hurt by me, and she's gonna get hurt by me when I break up with her. I feel ashamed. I gotta cover that up. This is all subconscious. It's not in the conscious mind. I've got to attack her. It's your fault. You know, this is happening because of you, not because of me. And it won't look desperate. What it will look like is gaslighting, as people will often say on the internet. But what it is it's a desperate attempt to cover up that just sea of shame. I can't obviously know that about these two people, but that is a profile I've seen before.
She's already starting. You know, I'm not even going to waste my energy and waste my time in having a mature conversation. It's not even possible. I'm not going to argue.
Drama, trust me.
You know, I can't take up with your lies, deceit, and manipulation anymore.
What lies? What manipulation?
What manipulation? What lies? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jesse. Get it out, honey.
How many days do you have to go to jail now?
What do you mean? I don't have to go to jail. What's the problem? Why are you even talking?
Oh, so it is jail time. That was didn't I guess that earlier? That was the long shot. I guess a part of me thought that this was going to go better. I don't know why I thought that. Of course, they gravitate towards this space. Of course they do. They always do. I'm not denigrating them. I'm just saying it's kind of heartbreaking for me to get my hopes up and then to see them dashed as they just fall right back into the old toxicity. It's really hard to watch.
Go ahead, Jesse. Get it out, honey.
How many days do you have to go to jail now?
What do you mean? I don't have to go to jail. What's the problem? Why are you even talking like that?
Police reports are on the internet, Darcey.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
I found out through social media that she got arrested the other day for hitting her sister. Darcey tries to lie about it. It just shows again, like, how I would not want to be a part of that.
Not a part of what? I mean, if your spouse were to get into an altercation with their twin sister, wouldn't you just ask Darcey and say, like, well, what happened? And reserve judgment about that. But again, because of the veil of superiority and the fear of being seen as a bad person, it's possible, I obviously have no idea, but people with his profile with narcissism will worry about how other people's actions that are close to them will reflect on them, and they will try to control other people's behavior because they're trying to uphold their own grandiose vision that they hope is being received by other people. And when someone else does something that looks bad, they react very strongly against it in a way that can be very hurtful to other people. I obviously can't diagnose, but it just is a possibility here.
Why are you talking about my family right now?
I'm not talking about your
family.
family.
I thought this was about us.
Hey, you are arrested.
Excuse me?
Yes.
He's trying to make things a problem in my life that aren't a problem.
The other thing here that it just occurred to me was he said he found it on social media. Is that a valid, reliable source of information? Plus, this is season 2 of this reality show. So by now, both of them are internet stars and social media stars, right? So it's possible that someone would post something that was a prank, and for Jesse just to accept it without asking Darcey what happened just seems a little unfair. But I don't know. We don't know the full details. Maybe we'll learn.
Sister and I, we had gotten in a fight that spiraled out of control. But now everything's fine. We're good. You know, we made up. It was just an argument, and we're good now. I don't need to explain anything to him. It's my family, not his.
Okay, so her description of what happened was me and my twin sister got into a fight, and we made up, and we're over it now. And it, it was just a little thing. It sounds like the police were called, and that is interesting. Now, obviously, we don't have any information. Maybe we'll learn. But given Darcey's past behavior when it comes to Jesse, I could see a situation, I don't know, where Darcey is actually being abused by her sister, because there seemed to be some kind of a dynamic like that. Maybe they're violent with each other. I don't know. But so if I was to really speculate and just really hypothesize, and if she was a client, I would investigate this by asking her to give me details of her life. But I would speculate that, or I would hypothesize that Darcey and her twin sister Stacy grew up in a family with violence, and they internalized those behaviors, and also had a lot of complications around that. And they might have, as twins, been really scraping for the little bit of love and attention that was available to them. Oh, there's a lot of speculation. And as a result, had a very complicated relationship with each other. As a family therapist, one of the things that I found was that when siblings fought a lot in a way that didn't really make a lot of sense, it was usually because there wasn't enough love and attention being given to the children. And so the children turn on each other as a way of trying to compete for the love and attention that is coming from their parents. And they'll argue about what seems to be really silly things, like Santa Claus spent what I'm guessing to be $200 on my sister, and Santa Claus only spent $150 on me, and that's bullshit. And you owe me, parents, $50. And as a parent, you might be like, wow, like you're keeping tabs of how much money I'm spending, like that. That's not how this works. That's not how Santa works. So there's that. A lot of speculation here. There seemed to be some tension, and now we're hearing about violence between the two of them. And she is downplaying it. Obviously, Darcey has a lot of reasons to downplay it. She might be really ashamed of what happened. She might also just be covering for her sister. I don't know. But I could also see a situation in which Stacy adopted the abuser part of the family, and Darcey was the victim by a lot of people in the family, maybe even a scapegoat for the entire family. And in the same way that Darcey seems to deny the potentially categorized as abuse behavior from Jesse, she might be doing the same with her sister. A lot of speculation, but I'm really curious as to what happened with her sister in terms of furthering our understanding of Darcey's past and her issues. Not because of a voyeuristic thing, but I don't know. I guess in my head, I'm like, I have this fantasy that if I figure out, Darcey's issues, I can help her. But of course I can't, because she's not my client, and I'll probably never meet her. And so, I don't know why I guess it's just my instincts to do so. Let's see what happens.
So he needs to back off.
You are about drama.
I'm not about drama. What are you talking about?
I'm
not about the semen. I don't have to tell you about things in my life when we're not even getting
can I get out of this car?
Getting on, yeah, I'd rather get out the car and he could stay since
this
his
is already,
trip. I'll go back to Connecticut.
I want to get out right now.
No, I want to get out right now. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I wish I never got on that train in Connecticut. I thought I'd give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. So he flew all the way out from Europe to come to New York because presumably he wanted to break up in a way that had integrity, and then he just lays into her about this jail thing and doesn't actually, and the conversation goes really horribly. So was that why you flew out? Again, giving him the benefit of the doubt, I suspect that he actually, when he's calm, he actually did want this to go better than it did. And then they just trigger each other and they're back into their old pattern. But it just boggles the mind that he can't hold it together long enough to be like, okay, never mind. What I'm here to do is to break up in a way that's very nice, in a way that is ethical. And so let's put the jail thing aside. I'm sorry, but I want to break up with you. And I know, and I did love you, and I want us to be friends. You know, the normal nice things, but maybe they'll get there. Somehow I don't see that happening.
But you didn't come here in the name of love. You came here to end things.
But if the past informs what's going to happen now, there's a possibility, because we've seen, they've broken up many times, that she will break down and become vulnerable, and then he will feel bad and will move in and be nice to her, but put her down at the same time, and then they'll get back together. I mean, they've done this pattern before, so maybe that'll happen.
I want to get away from her because she is like next level crazy.
Wow,
so,
really?
Yeah.
Really? Because I don't want to talk about personal
if you don't get therapy
matters?
for your alcoholism,
what alcoholism?
How long do you want to hide problems? How long?
Yeah, you need to go. I understand why you came now. You came here for your own purpose.
I came here out of respect and integrity.
So in my previous episodes, I talked about projective identification, and to further that conversation right now, remember how I talked about when you're trying to recreate a past relationship with a new person, you will manipulate the person to agree with your projection. There's a possibility, just total speculation, that for Jesse, in his past, he had someone who suffered from alcoholism or substance abuse, and that affected him a great deal. And so he needs to recreate that, and he's locked in on that model of, to make that interject external. And so he needs to see her as an alcoholic, even though at least we're not shown a great deal of problematic alcohol use from her. Of course, the show only gives us a certain amount, but if it is true that she doesn't exhibit much problem drinking, there's a possibility that because of Jesse's need and his repetition compulsion, it's all subconscious, to try to recreate that, he keeps labeling her as this alcoholic person because that's the projection, that's what he needs to see, because he needs to make that external. The other part of it is he probably needs to see her not only as an alcoholic, but also as someone who is very incompetent and emotionally volatile. And one way to do that is just to see her like, you're emotionally volatile. Another way is to trigger her to be emotionally volatile, and then it makes the projection all the more easier to apply. And if you can kind of provoke the person, like, okay, I need to project onto you because I need to make that internal strife external, and then you kind of poke her in a way that will cause her to get loud and get upset, and then, okay, now I can project onto her. I'm guessing that's happening, and probably from her as well, although it's hard to know what's happening for her in this moment.
Yeah, keep drinking, Darcy.
Really? I don't
hide problems.
Really?
Yeah, get arrested one more time.
Jesse.
I came here out of love.
Call yourself out. Why does he have to go through this whole trouble of coming here just to, like, belittle me?
Get some therapy, girl.
You don't treat somebody like that you say that you love. He's so cold. Why did I even come? Unbelievable. I can't believe I came for all this crap. This is unbelievable.
The truth hurts, right?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. It's so awful. It's so awful. I mean, why just don't say anything? Why do you have to be mean? People, don't be mean, please. It's mean to say things that are mean.
You don't love me. You never did, you liar.
You liar!
So there's that narrative that I was talking about, where if you have a bad breakup, the person who's being broken up with will walk away with a narrative of like, you never loved me. You're a liar. You used me. You tricked me. You gaslit me. You're a terrible person. I'm a stupid person for falling in love with you. I'm guessing Darcey has been there before. And although that can help a breakup on a certain level, because it's like, well, good riddance, he was a terrible person, it infuses this extremely negative narrative that almost makes it required to have it repeated in the future, because the next time you fall in love, because you have needs and you want a soulmate, you have this notion, because you have this narrative of the past of just like, well, you can't trust people, and I can't even trust myself. And what do we do typically when we're in that state of fear and distrust? Well, we have to involve ourselves in a lot of defenses. Defenses often get in the way of us getting what we want. We put up walls, we accuse, we overreact, we misinterpret, and the cycle just happens over and over and over again. If I was to talk to Darcey, I would say, to me, it looked like he did have genuine love for you. It also looks like the two of you had a lot of conflict and it didn't work out. And that's true for a lot of relationships. And so maybe you are better off without him. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with having given it a try, because you did have a connection, it seemed. And there was reasons to actually be in that relationship. There's nothing wrong with you for having hoped that this relationship would work out. And I do believe that when you did feel love from him, that it was genuine, that he isn't some sort of psychopath. I don't see any evidence of that. I think he does have vulnerability that's deep down, that probably you're one of the only people who's ever experienced, because when the cameras weren't there, I'm guessing you did experience that at least a slight hint of vulnerability from him. And all of that is real. So it's sad. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of grief that's going to happen maybe for the rest of your life about this breakup. And, that's real. And let's try to avoid a negative narrative that is just going to cause you to be more defended and more depressed in the future. I wouldn't word it like that, because I'm not a forceful advice-giving therapist, but I guess I would offer that up as a narrative. And I'd be like, it's you have a choice of the narrative you have the choice of the narrative I'm putting forth. There's a billion other narratives too, and just know that the narrative you choose will affect how you react in the future, and know that you have a choice in how you see it. Right now, as she's, very hurt and upset, I wouldn't have that conversation with her. I would wait maybe a few months, because of the trauma of this moment for her is too great for her to have any kind of flexibility around that. But anyway, let's see what happens from here. I wouldn't be surprised if they got back together, given what's happened in the past.
Out of my life!
All right, well, that does it for the 11th installment in which we followed Darcey and Jesse. Is this the last time that we're going to see them together? I'd give it a 50-50 chance based on what's happened in the past. Maybe they'll get back together, maybe they won't. We will see. Tune in next time. I'm going to do episodes on Darcey regardless, because I know she is in other seasons, and so either it's with Jesse or with someone else. We will find out. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.